Yeah, good evening all. I hope you are able to see my screen and my voice is audible. Can you please confirm me that?
Yes, sir, your voice is audible, sir.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you
yes.
so much. Yeah, fine. Thank you all. Thank you for joining this particular demo session. And before we start, I welcome you all to the batch 7 of online live training on Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform sessions. So as part of batch 7, we are going to have 2 demo sessions. So demo session 1, which will be happening today, and demo session 2, which will be happening tomorrow. And to join both of these demo sessions, the link will remain same. Whatever the link that you have used to join today's session, the same link you can use to join the tomorrow session as well. So please keep it in mind that the link will not change. The same link will remain for both of the demo sessions that we are going to have today and tomorrow. So before we start, what we are going to actually see as part of today's demo session, I would like to give a couple of instructions so that the session will go smoothly and promptly. So the first instruction is I want you to keep your mic in mute. If you have any questions, I'll take all of your questions and I'll give all the answers to your questions at the end of this session. Whatever questions that you may have, you can ask any question, but at the end of the session. So most probably I'll try to cover all of your questions, whatever you may have. But if I miss out answering any questions, you can please raise your questions at the end of the session. You can unmute or you can also type in the chat box and you can let me know so that I'll respond to your question accordingly. That's the first instruction. So please keep yourself in mute so that the session will go smoothly. And the second thing is this session is recorded. The recorded video of this session will be shared with all of you by uploading onto the YouTube channel. So I hope most of you are aware of my YouTube channel, which is a Learn with Kastro. That's the YouTube channel which I own. And probably you might have known me, or mostly you might have known me from this channel only, or through this channel only. So the video will be uploaded onto the YouTube channel, and that will be shared probably 1 hour after the session. Like let's say we are going to finish our session at 6:30. On or before 7:30 p.m. today, you will be receiving the meeting link. I mean, the meeting link as in the recorded video link. Along with that, the registration form, those who haven't registered for the demo sessions, the registration form will also be sent to your registered email IDs. Along with that, in the WhatsApp group also, the recorded session link and the registration form link will be shared with each and every one of you. That's the second instruction which I would like to give. And whatever notes that we are going to have today, that notes will also be shared to your email IDs and also in the WhatsApp group for your reference as well. So these are the 3 instructions which I would like to give before we kick off the session. The first instruction is please keep yourself in the mute. All your questions will be taken and answered at the end of the session. The second instruction is the recorded video will be shared with all of you through the WhatsApp group and also to the registered email ID. I hope most of you have joined the WhatsApp group already, but those who haven't joined the WhatsApp group link along with the recorded video session link will be shared to your email IDs as well. That's the second instruction. And the third instruction is if there is any notes that we are going to see today, that notes will also be shared with all of you through the email and also through the WhatsApp group. So I hope my instructions are clear and I believe we can proceed with our today's session. Right. So please confirm me, are you able to see the notepad screen? Can you please confirm me, are you able to see the notepad screen?
Yes, I confirm.
Right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Right. So today is a demo session 1 and tomorrow is demo session 2. You don't need to pay a single rupee to join both of these demo sessions. They are absolutely free of cost. From Monday onwards, the regular sessions will happen where we straight away jump into the tools. But however, today's session will be focusing mostly on understanding the structure of the syllabus or syllabus, we can say. What is the curriculum that we are going to follow? That entire thing will be discussed, syllabus of core modules of our training. And then we are also going to talk about what are the additional tools that I am going to cover as part of this training. That will also be discussed. Along with that, what are all the projects, end-to-end projects we are going to discuss as part of this training program will also be covered, and you will be given a brief overview about these projects also. And then we'll be talking about the registration details. So how to register for this training program, how to pay the fee, and how will you get the access to the recorded videos, lecture notes, all these details will be discussed. And then we'll also be talking about additional advantages that you are going to get if you join this training program. So these are the 5 points that we are going to discuss as part of today's session. Once I discuss all of these things, then I'm going to take your questions and I'll be answering your questions. So I hope my instructions are clear and my voice is audible for everyone in a proper and neat way. Right. So let's talk about the syllabus of this training program, which is the very, very important point, and that is how probably you might have joined this training program by seeing the syllabus, and maybe some of your friends or some of your colleagues might have also referred you to join these demo sessions or to join the training program. So if any of your friends have already recommended you joining this training program, probably you might have got the feedback from them already. But however, it's my duty to let you know what are all the modules that I am going to cover as part of this training program. So here we are going to have 4 modules. Module 1 will be about Jenkins. Module 1 is about Jenkins. Module 2 is about Docker. Module 3 is about Kubernetes. And module 4 is about Terraform. These are the 4 core modules of our training program: Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. But before talking about the syllabus of this one, I would like to tell you the prerequisites in order to join this training program. Maybe some of you might have an idea about cloud. Some of you might have an idea about probably all of these tools. Maybe you want to advance yourself in-depth concepts about all these tools. So it can be any reason, but the fundamental requirement in order to join this training program is you need to have a basic knowledge on AWS cloud. AWS cloud. If you have any other cloud also, that is fine. But as part of this training program, I am going to use AWS cloud for Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. We are going to use AWS cloud. So the basic idea about AWS cloud is very, very essential. Particularly, you should know about how to launch the EC2 instances, how to create a VPC, a private network, how to create an S3 bucket, how to create IAM users, IAM roles, how to attach policies to the IAM users or IAM roles, creating the secret access keys. All these things are essential. And also the basic idea about Route 53 is essential. But however, Route 53 will be discussed as part of this training program also, but not at an in-depth level. But it's good if you have a fundamental idea about Route 53. However, if you don't have any idea about all of these services which I'm mentioning here, still you don't have to bother. I will be covering what is meant by EC2 service in AWS Cloud, how to launch an EC2 instance, how to connect with the EC2 instance. These fundamental things I'll be discussing as part of this training program. But however, I'm not going into the in-depth concepts of the AWS services. So fundamental knowledge is essential for this one. So that's the first prerequisite to join this training program. And the second prerequisite is to know the Linux fundamentals. You should know the Linux commands, how to create a directory, how to list the files, how to open an existing file, how to create a file, how to modify the user permissions, what is a sudoers file, how to edit the sudoers file. These basic details, if you have an idea, that would be more than sufficient to join this training program. But however, as I said, even if you don't have the basic idea, I'll be trying to give you as part of this training program. Okay, but it's good if you have the basic knowledge on AWS Cloud and the Linux commands or the Linux concepts. So these are the two prerequisites in order to join this training program. So as I said earlier, kindly keep yourself in the mute. Don't unmute yourself. Sudarshan. Right. Thank you. Right. So now let's talk about the syllabus of this training program. So coming to the first one, which is module 1, which is Jenkins. So in Jenkins, we are going to cover multiple things. Okay. So we'll start our discussions with the basic idea, that is what is meant by CI and CD process. Okay, what is meant by CI and CD process? What are the different CI and CD tools that we have? Manual deployment of applications. Okay, manual deployment of applications. And then we'll be talking about Jenkins as a CI/CD tool. Especially in Jenkins, we are going to deep dive everything about Jenkins. So we'll be talking about a brief introduction to Jenkins. Introduction to Jenkins. Why do we need to use Jenkins? How this Jenkins is going to help us in order to work in the real-time scenarios. All of these details will be discussed with you. Right. And once we cover the introduction towards Jenkins, we'll be talking about Jenkins jobs. So what is meant by a Jenkins job? How to create a Jenkins job? What are the different types of Jenkins jobs? Which type of job has to be created under what kind of scenarios? All of these things will be discussed. And then we are going to deep dive into the concept of freestyle project in Jenkins, which is one of the types of a Jenkins job. Okay, in Jenkins jobs, we have different types of jobs, majorly 3 types. The first one is a freestyle project. So we are going to discuss everything that is available in the freestyle project. We are going to talk about how to integrate a public repository with Jenkins, how to integrate a private repository with Jenkins, how to do the build triggering, how will you trigger the jobs, how to automate the triggering of a job, configuration of webhooks, configuration of remote triggering, all of the options which are available in the freestyle project will be discussed. And once everything is done, we are going to talk about the next one, which is a pipeline project. So we are going to talk about how to create a pipeline, what is meant by Jenkins file, how many ways we can write the Jenkins file, what are the different approaches that we have in order to write a Jenkins file, how to build and deploy the projects using the Jenkins script or Jenkins file script. All of these things will be discussed. A deep dive into the freestyle project and the pipeline project will be discussed. Along with this, we'll also be talking about the plugins, how to install plugins, what is the use of plugins, all of those things. And then configuration of credentials in Jenkins. How will you configure, let's say, Docker Hub credentials, GitHub repository credentials, how to configure these credentials, and how to configure tools in Jenkins, like let's say Maven, Java, Node. Like this, we have different tools, Kubernetes. So how to configure different tools and any other things that comes with manage Jenkins or system level configurations, those things will also be discussed. And once this is done, in the next case, we are going to talk about one of the most important concepts in Jenkins, which is master and slave architecture. What is meant by master and slave architecture? Why do we need a master and slave architecture? How can we deploy the applications using master and slave architecture? These all fundamental details, starting from the very basics, will be discussed. And then we'll be talking about the last concept in Jenkins, which is called as RBAC, that is a role-based access control. So how to create users, how to give permissions to the users, how to ensure the permissions are available. And then we'll be talking about disaster recovery of Jenkins. By any chance, if the Jenkins instance gets terminated, how can we recover the Jenkins jobs, the configurations, all these things? That's what disaster recovery we are going to talk about. And then we'll be talking about the email notifications, how to configure the email notifications. Like this, we are going to talk about a couple of other details as well. Okay. So with this, whatever the essential parts that are required to know in Jenkins, all of these things will be discussed. And remember, this training program will be having from scratch to the advanced level. So you don't have to bother about whether do I need any knowledge or any basic knowledge on these modules before I join the training program. No, everything will be discussed from basics to advanced level. That's my responsibility to teach you, especially with these 4 tools: Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. You may not have a single idea about what is Jenkins, what is Docker, what is Kubernetes, what is Terraform. It's completely my responsibility to tell you how to use each and every one of these tools. So this training will be covering from basics to advanced level. Even if you don't have a basic idea about any of these tools, still you don't have to give a second thought. You can straight away join this training program. I'll show you in a couple of minutes. I'll show you what is the structure that I have followed. So these are the complete details which we are going to cover as part of our Jenkins module. Maybe I might have missed a few things, but on a large scale, these are the things. But when we go at a micro level, obviously we are going to learn much more things than what I have discussed here. But these things will be mandatorily discussed. Along with these, we are going to cover a couple of projects in the Jenkins. Just by using Jenkins, we are going to cover a couple of projects. The one project which we are going to cover is the freestyle project. So how to deploy the applications in an automated way using Jenkins freestyle project. So automation of build and deployment of application using a freestyle project concept. And then we'll be talking about pipeline project. So in pipeline project, again, we are going to see 2 pipeline projects. So I'll call pipeline project 1, where we are going to automate the build and deployment of application using pipeline concept. And then we are going to do one more project, which is again on a pipeline concept only. That is again the process of build and deployment of application using a pipeline project concept. So these are the 3 projects that I am going to cover as part of Jenkins module, only as part of Jenkins module. Okay, only as part of Jenkins module. Right. So each and every module will be accompanied with at least 3 to 5 projects, a minimum of 3 projects and a maximum of 5 to 6 projects will be discussed by the end of each and every module. So each module comes with at least 3 projects, that is for sure. There is no doubt in that. If I don't deliver 3 projects at least at the end of each module, you have complete rights to talk to me, and you have complete rights to question me, not to talk to me, to question me. Okay, that's my responsibility. I'll do that. So this is about the first module, which is Jenkins. And then we'll be talking about the second module, which is Docker. So in Docker, we are going to see what is meant by containerization, what is meant by virtualization, what is meant by a physical server. All these things we are going to cover as an introduction to Docker, or before we talk about Docker, we are going to cover these things. And then we'll be talking about a monolithic applications versus microservices applications. So how can we deploy a monolithic application? How can we deploy a microservice application? What is the architecture of monolithic and microservices applications? All these things will be discussed. And then we'll be talking about introduction to Jenkins, introduction to Docker, where we'll talk about what is Docker, Docker workflow, how to work with Docker, what are the Docker components, what is Docker architecture, what are the components that are involved in the Docker. Every minute detail will be discussed in the introduction to Docker. And then we'll be talking about a concept called OS level virtualization. What is meant by OS level virtualization? How do we do the virtualization using Docker? These things will be covered. And once it is done, then we are going to talk about Docker file, how to create a Docker file, how to create Docker images using the Docker file, how to create Docker containers using the Docker images. And then we'll also be talking about Docker Hub as well, which is used to store the Docker images. Along with Docker Hub in AWS, we have a service which is called as ECR, Elastic Container Registry. That will also be discussed as part of this training program. This was not discussed for the previous batch, so this is included only for your batch. Only for your batch. In this batch, it is included. Is ECR, how to push the Docker images to the ECR, how to pull the images from the ECR, that will also be covered. If time permits, I'll also talk about ECS as well, which is a Elastic Container Service. Again, this I cannot guarantee as of now, but I'll keep it as an optional. I'll try to cover to my best level possible, but don't keep any guarantee because that's an optional. ECS, how to deploy the applications in the ECS, Elastic Container Service. That is one thing that we are going to talk. And then we are going to talk about how to pull the Docker images, the default Docker images, how to create images using containers, how to create containers using images. All these micro details also will be discussed. So I'll call that as a deep dive into Docker images. Deep dive into Docker images. So we'll be talking about what are the different types of Docker images that we have. We have something like a distroless. Like this, we have different types of Docker images. So we'll be talking about those Docker images by using that Docker file. And then we'll be talking about Docker volumes. How can we use volumes in the Docker to store our data in a persistent way? That's called as persistent volumes. So we'll talk about Docker volumes, and this Docker volumes we are going to talk with respect to AWS Cloud, because in AWS Cloud, we are going to create the EBS volumes. And whatever the EBS volumes that we are going to create, those EBS volumes, we are going to see how to attach to the Docker containers. So how to attach an EBS volume to Docker container, how to detach, how to increase the capacity of the attached EBS volume. All of these things will be discussed as part of Docker volumes. And then we'll also be talking about multi-stage Docker builds, which is very, very important and most commonly used in the real-time scenarios. That is multi-stage Docker builds or multi-stage Docker file. We can also call it in that way. Okay. And then we'll also be talking about what is meant by mutable and immutable containers. Okay, mutable and immutable containers. That is also something which we are going to see. And then in Docker, we don't have the concept of load balancer. Generally, we cannot do load balancing using Docker. But we will also see how to do the load balancing using Docker or Docker containers, let's say. So load balancer concept will also be discussed as part of Docker. We'll use Nginx as a load balancer, and then we will balance the load between multiple containers where our application is running. That's one thing. And then we are going to talk about Docker Compose, how to write a Docker Compose YML file, what is the structure of a Docker Compose YML file, and how to deploy a microservice applications using a Docker Compose. These all things will be discussed. And then finally, and then we'll talk about the next concept, which is called as Docker networks. What are the different types of Docker networks that we have? How to create a custom network, how to deploy the applications in the custom network, how to modify the networking permissions. All of these things will be discussed in the Docker networks components. And finally, we'll close our Docker concept with an idea about Docker Swarm, which is again not at all required for the real-time scenarios, but it's good if you have an idea about what is a Docker Swarm and how will we deploy the applications using Docker Swarm. So these are the concepts that we are going to cover as part of Docker. Along with these, if any micro level concepts I have missed out mentioning here, those concepts will also be discussed. I'm giving a large overview, but micro level things, I am just explaining them. So those things will also be covered. And as I said, by the end of each module, we are going to see a couple of projects. So in Docker, we are going to see how to deploy Java applications, how to deploy a Java application, how to deploy a Python application, how to deploy a Spring Boot application, and then how to deploy the application with the Docker Compose, how to deploy the three-tier application using the Docker Compose, Like this, we are going to cover some 5 to 6 projects. 6 projects will come, and 1 project is related to load balancing related projects. So 6 projects for sure we are going to discuss. And if there are any projects additionally that are required, I'll let you know during the sessions. But these 6 projects for sure we are going to discuss. And some projects will be there for your assignments also. So every module will be accompanied with assignment questions. I'll show those assignment questions which were given in the previous batch. Right. So this is our module 2, which talks about Docker. And then the next module we are going to start is Kubernetes, where we are going to deep dive into the Kubernetes. I believe most of you might be joining this training program because of Kubernetes only, because we all need to know the advanced concepts in the Kubernetes. So this particular training program will be covering everything from scratch to the advanced level of Kubernetes training program. Kubernetes module. So kindly keep yourself in the mute. Don't unmute yourself. I'm not sure who is that. Raj. Kindly keep yourself in mute. Right. So then we'll be talking about Kubernetes. So in Kubernetes, we'll be talking about what is meant by orchestration. How will we perform the orchestration with Kubernetes? Docker Swarm versus Kubernetes. And then we'll be talking about Kubernetes architecture. In short way, I'll write, which is K8s, Kubernetes architecture. And then we'll be talking about types of Kubernetes clusters, And then especially we are going to create the Kubernetes clusters, which is related to Kubedium, and then Minikube, K8s, and in AWS, we are going to see how to create a EKS cluster. Maybe in the first 2 days, I'll be focusing on how to create a Kubedium cluster, how to create a Minikube cluster, how to create a K8s cluster. Kubedium, K8s, any one will do the same thing. So I'll just call it as Kubedium / K8s and Minikube. So I'll talk any one of them, either Kubedium or K8s and then Minikube. But all our Kubernetes classes will be focused on EKS cluster only. Cloud specific cluster. If you have an idea about GKE or AKE also, that is fine. But I am going to focus fundamentally on EKS cluster. All our Kubernetes classes will be on EKS cluster only, which is a proper real-time scenarios. So most of the institutes in the, on the outside market, they'll focus either on Minikube or Kubedium or K8s, because to minimize the cost and to minimize some other things, like they'll go with that one. But yeah, there are some institutes which will dedicatedly go with the EKS also. But however, I will be covering all the three, Kubedium, Minikube, and EKS. But all our demonstrations, all our concepts that we are going to learn in the Kubernetes will be on EKS cluster only. EKS cluster only. And then we'll be talking about what is meant by a pod. Okay, understanding pods, types of pods, creation of pods, and all those things we are going to see. So here we are going to talk about one important thing, which is creation of Kubernetes resources. We have two types of creating a Kubernetes resource. One is imperative method, and the second one is a declarative method. So both methods I'll be talking, imperative and declarative. That is by using the YML files and by using the commands. So here we are also going to talk about introduction to YML or YAML. Anything is fine. Yet another markup language, because we are going to write YML files in order to create the Kubernetes resources. Okay, in order to create the Kubernetes resources. And then we'll talk about creation of pods and what are the different types of pods that we have, how to create different types of pods. All of these things will be discussed, like init container, multi-container pod. All of these details will be discussed. Sidecar container, these things. Okay, I'm not giving the names of all those things, but pods that represents the types also. And then we'll be talking about Kubernetes services. Especially, we are going to talk about three major services. One is cluster IP, and the second one is node port, and the third one is load balancer. Cluster IP, node port, load balancer, and we are also going to see headless service, what is meant by headless service, and we are also going to see external name. So these are the 5 services that we are going to cover as part of Kubernetes services. Actually, these are the 5 services only which we have. These are the things which we are going to cover. Right. Once the services concept is done, then we are going to talk about Kubernetes controllers concept. Kubernetes controllers. So we have something which is called as replication controller, replica set, stateful set, daemon set, replication controller, replica set, stateful set, daemon set. Like this, we have different Kubernetes controllers. We are going to talk about all of those Kubernetes controllers. And then we are going to talk about the deployments in Kubernetes or the deployment types in Kubernetes, Kubernetes deployments. So we have different types of deployments. One is called as a rolling update. Second one is a recreate. Third one is a blue-green deployment. The fourth one is a canary deployment. These are the 4 types of deployments that we are going to cover as part of Kubernetes deployments. And then we'll be talking about the concept of namespaces in Kubernetes. What is meant by a namespace? How to work with the namespaces concept? How to create the resources in a custom namespace? How to switch to a custom namespace? All these things will be covered. And then we'll be talking about scheduling in Kubernetes. Okay, scheduling in Kubernetes, especially we'll be focusing on node selector, pod affinity, pod anti-affinity, pod anti-affinity. Like this, we are going to cover multiple things in the scheduling part of Kubernetes. Node selector, pod affinity, pod anti-affinity. Like this, we are going to cover. Okay, and there are other things also. Those things will also be discussed. And then node selector, node affinity, pod affinity, I heard, node affinity also we are going to see. Node affinity, yeah, node affinity, pod affinity, and pod anti-affinity. Just a second. That's basically the scheduling part of Kubernetes. And then we'll be talking about Kubernetes auto scaling. Especially, we are going to focus on 2 types of auto scaling. One is called as a horizontal pod auto scaling or auto scaler, and vertical pod auto scaling, HPA and VPA. That will also be discussed. Along with that, we'll be talking about resource quotas and limit ranges. What is meant by resource quota? How do you limit the ranges, especially for a custom namespace or for a user or for a particular deployment in a namespace? All of these things will be discussed as part of resource quotas and limit ranges. And then we'll be talking about persistent volume. That is basically the storage part of Kubernetes, persistent volume claim, and the concept of storage classes in Kubernetes. Storage classes in Kubernetes. That's especially we'll be talking about static provisioning and dynamic provisioning. Static provisioning and dynamic provisioning. How to statically provision an EBS volume, how to dynamically provision an EBS volume using storage class concept. And we'll also see the different types of storage classes as well. Okay, different types of storage classes as well. Along with this, we are also going to cover EFS concept also, elastic file system. Elastic file system. And then we'll be talking about stateful set as well. What is meant by stateful set? What is a stateful application? When do we need a stateful application? How to use a stateful set concept in Kubernetes for stateful applications? All of those things will also be covered. And then we'll be talking about Kubernetes probes. Okay, Kubernetes probes, liveness probe and readiness probe. Liveness probe and readiness probe. Liveness probes and readiness probes. That's also will be discussed. And once that is done, we'll also be talking about auto scaling, as I said here, Kubernetes auto scaling, HPA, VPA, and cluster auto scaler also we are going to discuss. Cluster auto scaler also we are going to discuss. And if there are any advanced concepts that comes during our training program, that those things will also be discussed. And we have something which is called as EKS auto mode that will also be discussed. EKS auto mode. So once probes discussion is done, then we'll be talking about taints and tolerations in Kubernetes. What is meant by taint? How to taint a node? How to tolerate? How to taint a resource? All of these things will be focused. And then we'll be talking about the concept of RBAC in Kubernetes. just like how we have RBAC in Jenkins, the same concept is also there in Kubernetes. So we'll create a user and we'll give permissions and we'll see whether that user can do any activities or not. All of those things will be discussed. And then we'll be talking about one of the most important concepts in Kubernetes in order to deploy a microservice application, which is called as a ingress controller. Ingress controller. We'll see the different types of ingress controllers, how to deploy the application using ingress controller. Along with that, we will also see the advanced version of ingress controller, which is a API gateway. How to use API gateways, how to route the traffic using API gateways for a microservices application. All these things we'll be talking. And then we'll be talking about config maps and secrets. Config maps and secrets, cron jobs. Like this, we have a few things. Those things will also be covered as part of this training program. And we'll be talking about the Kubernetes package manager, which is called as a Helm. How to use the Helm charts, how to create a custom Helm chart for an application. Those things will be discussed. And finally, we'll be closing our Kubernetes discussions with Argo CD. That is basically the GitOps approach. GitOps approach. So on a large scale, these are the concepts that we are going to cover in Kubernetes. These are the concepts that we are going to cover in Kubernetes. There are some other concepts also which I might have missed, but on a large scale, these will be covered for sure. There are some other concepts also. Those things will also be discussed as part of this training program. Okay, so that is about Kubernetes. And coming to the projects that we are going to do in Kubernetes. Okay, we are going to do a couple of projects. The first one is related to stateful set. The second one is related to PV and PVC. PV and PVC. And then we'll be talking about a couple of mini projects where we will integrate Route 53 with the ingress controller. Okay, so I'll call that as a microservices application with Route 53 or with ingress controller and Route 53. Okay, ingress controller and Route 53. And here I'm going to show you two major types of ingress controllers. One is AWS ingress controller and Nginx ingress controller. Both we will see. Okay. And then apart from this, we'll also be talking about a couple of small projects, which I call them as medium projects or mid-level projects. So I don't mention those projects, but fundamentally these projects we are going to see. In this itself, we are going to see 3 projects, 2 to 3 projects we are going to see. So on a large scale, at least 4 to 5 projects we are going to cover. So that is about Kubernetes module. And the next module which we are going to talk is module 4, that is Terraform. Module 4, that is Terraform. Again, one of the most commonly asked things in the interviews. Okay, so we'll start our discussion with basic understanding of Terraform. How Terraform is different from CloudFormation, that is CloudFormation versus Terraform. That's again, we are going to see. And then we'll talk about the variables in Terraform. What are the different types of variables, working with variables, and then local variables, local variables, output variables. Like this, we have different types. So I'll just mention them as types in a small scale. And then we'll talk about tails, locals. Like this, we have some other things like workspaces. These concepts will also be discussed. And then we'll talk about local state file and remote state file, local state and remote state, how to secure a state file, that will also be discussed. And then we'll be talking about locking a state file, and then multi-region resource creation. I'm just giving a broader topics, multi-region resource creation. And if there is anything else that is required, those things will also be covered. And along with that, we are going to create resources in AWS. Okay, like S3, S3 bucket, EC2 instances, VPC, IAM user, RDS, like this couple of resources will create as part of this module. And then here again, we are going to cover a couple of projects. So the first project is related to creation of VPC and launching VM in a custom VPC, especially in a public subnet or private subnet, and then a custom VPC. And then we are going to attach the internet gateway, NAT gateway, these things. That's one project. And then we'll talk about creation of EKS cluster using Terraform in an automated way, using Jenkins. Okay, using Jenkins. These are the two projects that we are going to cover, and there will be obviously every session in Terraform is a project only because we will create the resources. But on a large scale, these are the two projects that we are going to do. And then a couple of projects you are going to get as an assignments also. And here in Kubernetes, I forgot to mention, yeah, that will be fine. I'll talk about that. So these are the complete details of our training program. Module 1, Jenkins. Module 2, Docker. Module 3, Kubernetes. Module 4, Terraform. Once we complete these things, we are going to do end-to-end projects, which will be real-time projects. I hope you have already watched a couple of videos which are there on my YouTube channel. I believe you know those projects like Zomato application, BookMyShow application, Swiggy application. Like this, I have a couple of projects on my YouTube channel. In the same way, we are going to do a couple of projects here also. Okay, in this training program, apart from those projects, whatever that are there on the YouTube channel, apart from those projects, we are going to do 4 end-to-end projects. The first one is related to microservices application. Okay, I'll call it as microservice project 1. The second one is again microservice project 2. Here we are going to deploy a Paytm clone application, Paytm clone. And here we are going to deploy an e-commerce application with multiple microservices and database connected to it. And then we'll talk about blue-green deployment project. So how to do the blue-green deployment. And then probably we'll talk about how to deploy an something like movie platform or something like, let's call it as Amazon or Netflix clone applications, end-to-end applications we are going to deploy. So these are the 4 end-to-end projects that I'm going to cover. So with all these details, I can guarantee you that whatever the knowledge that 4 to 5 years experience candidate is having, the same level of knowledge I'm going to provide, especially with these 4 modules. I cannot assure about the rest of the modules like Ansible, all these things. But with these 4 modules, I am going to give you the knowledge whichever that was possessed by 4 to 5 years of experience candidate. That is the same level of knowledge which I can give it to you. And you can keep a minimum of 3 and a maximum of 5 years of experience when you are attending for interview. Okay, that's the level of knowledge which I'm going to provide. So 4 to 5 years of experienced candidate knowledge I'll provide with this 4 modules. I'm talking about only these 4 modules. I'm not talking about anything else. Okay, but along with these, we are going to cover some additional tools as well. Okay, additional tools. So those additional tools are like this. The first one is Maven, which is a build tool for Java-based projects. And then Tomcat for deployment of Java applications. Nexus to store the artifacts. We have Nexus to store the artifacts. JFrog is also there. Along with that, S3 also will talk how to store the artifact in S3 buckets. And then we'll talk about code quality analysis, that is by using SonarQube. And we'll talk about security scanning by using Privy and OWASP. That will also be covered. And then for logging, monitoring these things, we are going to cover EFK, that is Elasticsearch, Fluent D or Fluent Bit, and Kibana. ELK we are not going to see, we are going to see EFK. And then we are also going to see one of the advanced tools in Kubernetes, which is a service mesh. As part of service mesh, we are going to cover Istio. Okay, we are going to see Istio. And then for alerting, actually, I have missed one thing here in this one, which is monitoring part. That is Prometheus, Grafana, and Node Exporter. These things will also be covered. Prometheus, Grafana, and Node Exporter. Apart from these, we are also going to see one more alerting tool, which is called as a PagerDuty. PagerDuty. That is also something which we are going to see. And I'm planning to include one more tool, which is OpenSearch, but I cannot guarantee this one at this moment. But based on the time frame that we have, based upon your availability and based upon your interest, we will also see OpenSearch as well. Maybe 1 or 2 sessions, OpenSearch will be done. But that is, I'll keep that as an optional because that comes with time-bound things. So these things I'm going to cover for sure as part of this training program. So this is the complete syllabus that I am going to cover by the end of your training program. By the end of your training program. So this is all about what I am going to discuss as part of this one. So that is the first 3 things I have discussed. Syllabus of the core modules, what are the additional tools that I'm going to cover, and the end-to-end projects. You can keep these projects in your resume, but don't keep the projects as it is. You can tell the domain of the application. Let's say e-commerce application, ticket booking application, the domain you can keep. I'll let you know how to keep the projects in your resume. That resume guidance session will be there at the end. In that session, I'll let you know. Okay. And now coming to the registration details of this training program. As you already aware of this registration details, the registration details are as follows. Those who are not aware, so please have a note here. So the fee for this training program is 7,000 rupees, which has to be paid at a single time. So that's basically the single installment. There won't be any multiple installments that will be allowed. But if you want to pay in 2 installments, the fee will be 8,000 rupees. Okay, that's basically the 2 installments. In the first installment, okay, the first installment has to be made before you join the session. So I'll call installment 1, which will be for 4,000. This installment should be made on or before the first session. That's basically the first session. First session as in after demo session, the first session will have it on Monday. That is on 3rd November. Okay, 3rd November 2025. So that's where our first session will start, apart from demo sessions. And then the second installment has to be paid. So installment 2, that's again 4,000. Second installment has to be paid after, on or before finishing off Jenkins classes. So Jenkins sessions will go for a maximum of 7 to 9 days. Okay, so I'll keep it as after 7 days of training or start date of training, you have to pay the remaining fee, the remaining 4,000 after 7 days of start of training. And there won't be any excuses. So kindly don't ask any kind of extensions again. Okay, I would highly recommend you don't even go with installment option, because 1,000 rupees additionally you're going to pay, which I don't want you to pay. But if there are anyone who wants to pay in installments, but this is a standard approach. But please keep it in mind that after 7 days of start of training, if you are asking for any extensions, I cannot allow for the additional sessions because I got, like some people has misused that opportunity in my previous batches. So for that reason, I had to take this strong decision. It's not about whether I can trust you or not. It's not about that. It's about keeping myself in a safer zone than to go into unnecessary disputes or unnecessary discussions. So that's for that reason. I would not recommend you to go with the 2 installment process. If possible, try to do it in a single installment only. So that is about fee details. That's about fee details. And the other details is the timings of the sessions. Okay, the timings of the sessions will be from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. This is one timing that I am going to follow. And another timing is 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. That's another timing which I am going to follow. Okay, the reason why I am giving 2 timings is if 5 p.m., I mean at 5 p.m. the session was unable to start because of some reasons, because of my office work and all these things, I will schedule the session at 5:30. But apart from these 2 timings, we may not have any other timings. Because I have one batch which is currently running that is at 8 o'clock. That will go from 8 to 10:30. So that batch probably it might finish in the second week of November. In the second week of November. Probably in the third week of November. If everyone is okay, then we'll have the session at 7 p.m. Okay, probably. Again, that's not a confirmation. Probably we'll have the session at 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That could be there, or probably from third week of November. Because till then I have the sessions which are happening in the evening time, 8 o'clock till 8 o'clock. I mean 8 to 10:30. So third week of November. But again, I would not give any kind of hints that this will be the standard time. These 2 will be the standard time. There is no doubt about that. 99% of our sessions will happen 5 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 6:30 because some people will finish the office at 5 o'clock. Some people will finish the office at 4:30. So just to have that buffer time, maybe we can keep at 5:30 also. That is fine for me. 5:30 is fine for me. But I cannot go with 6 o'clock because 6 o'clock, if I go 7:30, I have to take every day 1.5 hour session will be there. If I go till 7:30, then for my next batch, that is at 8 o'clock batch, I will not have sufficient time to refresh myself and to do the things. So for that reason, either 5 o'clock or 5:30 p.m. That will be decided once everyone is registered to the training program. We'll have a discussion in the WhatsApp group and then we will fix the timing, either at 5 o'clock or 5:30. Okay, so every day the session will be for 1.5 hour. 1.5 hours the session will be there. Sometimes the sessions will go beyond 1.5 hours also. Let's say when we are doing any projects, the sessions will go up to 2 hours, a maximum of 2 hours. I will let you know when those things will come. One day before itself, I can let you know so that you can plan the things accordingly. That beyond 1.5 hours will go only when we do the projects. If we don't do any projects, regular sessions means mostly they'll finish within 1 hour 30 minutes or 1 hour 35 to 40 minutes, not more than that. And then the sessions will be from session days will be from Monday to Friday. That's the standard thing. Sometimes we might even have to go with Saturday and Sunday also. Some days, I don't say every week, probably throughout our session, we might go maybe thrice or 4 times with the Saturdays and Sundays. Maybe maximum thrice or 4 times. That's not more than that. Okay, so this is about session days, like Monday to Friday. That's the standard one, session days. And coming to the payment information, so how can you do the payment? Is you can, I hope you already have my number, which is this one. So on this number, you can do either PhonePe or Google Pay. On this number, you can do either PhonePe or Google Pay. And once after payment is made, once the payment is made, please send the screenshot of the payment. along with your WhatsApp number, because we are going to have one dedicated WhatsApp group. So WhatsApp number will be there. Along with that, you are also going to send your registered email ID. Your registered email ID. So these three things are important. The screenshot of the payment and your WhatsApp number and your email ID. Your email ID. These are the three things that you require once you complete the payment. Or before you make the payment, maybe you can text me for the number confirmation if you have any doubts. Okay, that's about the payment. The whole registration details. And coming to the last one, which is related to the duration of the course. So the duration of the course will be 50 to 55 days. Maximum 55 days it will go. But I'll try to keep I'll try to keep a maximum of 50 days. But some days, maybe we have to go up to 55 days. That's the maximum count I can keep. If you observe any training program which is running in the market, I'm not demeaning them or I'm not downgrading them. In 60 days or in 2 months of time, entire AWS, entire DevOps will be completed. Or at least the entire DevOps will be completed in the 60 days of time. Yes, there are scenarios and because of many restrictions, we may have to finish the entire DevOps course in 60 days itself or in 2 weeks, 2 months of time. And remember, when I say 50 to 55 days, they don't include Sundays and Saturdays. They include only the working days. Whenever we have the session, that is considered as a working day. So 50 to 55 working days we are going to have. Okay. So the reason why we are going with 50 to 55 working days is in order to talk about all of these concepts at a micro level, starting from the scratch, I need this much of time because I cannot rush the things and I cannot tell that just give one example and leave it aside and tell that, okay, that concept is done. No, I don't do that. You can ask my previous batch students, previous 6 batches are there. If you know any one of them, you can talk to them and you can get a note from me about how my training will go from them or any of your friends. Okay, so for that reason, we are going to have 50 to 55 days of training. Last batch has went for 50 days. I said them 40 to 45 days, but it went exactly 50th day. We have closed our entire discussion. One day we got an extra day where we had to discuss one project. The same project we had to discuss one more time because of some recording issue. Standardly, it went for 49 days. That one additional day is for the same discussion. We had to do it one more time. So that's why it exactly went for 50 days. Okay. So I'll show you the one thing before I give you the questions. Before I ask you to keep your questions. The additional information or additional details, what you are going to get. Additional details as in additional information, what you are going to get as part of this training program is you are going to have the weekly tasks that's mandatory, which you have to submit based on the tool that a task will be given. And then mock interviews will also be conducted for the previous batch. From the next week onwards, we are going to have the mock interviews because once after all the 4 modules are completed, I'll give 1 week of time. After 1 week, I'll be scheduling the mock interviews. And this will be completely 1-to-1 mock interview only. But 1 round will be there, not more than 1 round. 1 candidate, 1 round. So 30 minutes will be there for each person. Whatever that is discussed during our training program, that will be covered largely. Along with that, based upon your resume or based upon your skill set, additional things will also be asked during mock interviews. Okay. And there will be a dedicated community will be there. Basically, the WhatsApp group for all the students who are going to join batch 7. So dedicated community support will be there. And I will also be available whenever there is a requirement for you. Again, that doesn't mean that 24/7 I may not be available because I have my own commitments as well. So keeping my commitments also in as a consideration, whenever there is a possibility, I may not be able to respond to your calls or to your texts immediately, but I do respond probably within 2 to 3 hours of your text or of your call by any chance. Okay. And then if there are any openings that are available, that job openings information will also be shared with you on a daily basis. Whenever there is an opening, there is a right opening for a candidate that will be shared in the WhatsApp group. So job openings and job guidance will also be given. And then the resume building sessions will also be discussed. Okay, one session will be there, which is on resume building. And I will let you know how to prepare the resume, how to keep the projects, how to explain your projects, how to explain the tools that you know in your resume. Or if you already have a resume, I will help you to make it in a little better way with the knowledge, whatever I have. So these are the additional things that you are going to get from this training program. And finally, about me. Okay, the reason why I'm telling about me in the end is I just wanted to close this one with about me. So coming to my educational background, I'm not sure how many of you know this. So my educational background is I have completed my PhD, that is a Doctor of Philosophy, in civil engineering and machine learning domain. Okay, my core area, my domain, my basic bachelor's, master's, and master's domain is civil engineering only. So if any one of you are thinking that I am from non-IT background, can I still crack a DevOps job? I am the perfect example, or I am the live example for you. So I completed my PhD, and I have been working as an cloud and DevOps trainer for the past 6 years. Cloud and DevOps trainer. With the next month, that is November 15th or 16th, I believe, I'll complete 6 months. So cloud and DevOps training experience I have for 6 months, 6 years. Okay, so I have been involved with multiple training programs, multiple training institutes. One is from Chennai, another is from Pune, another one is from Bangalore, another one is from UK, and the other one is from US. Like this, I have been working with, I have worked with almost 6 to 7 edutech firms, and currently I'm working with 3 edutech firms. That's what I said, like 8 to 10:30, I have one batch rate. That is for another edutech firm. And morning 7:30 to 9:30, there is one more batch that is again for another edutech firm. And weekend batch one edtech firm is there, which is a UK batch. That's again for weekend, only weekend. Okay, 2 days in a week, I have to take the sessions. So that's about my educational background. I have completed my PhD, and currently I am doing my postdoc. I'm not sure how many of you are aware of this postdoc thing. It's called as postdoctoral. So postdoctoral researcher. So I'm basically a postdoctoral researcher in IIT Tirupati. I'm not sure again how many of you know IIT Tirupati, or if you are from Telugu states, for sure you will be knowing Tirupati. So IIT is Indian Institute of Technology. I'm doing my postdoc in IIT Tirupati. I have very recently started, hardly some 4 or 5 days back only, I have started my career at IIT Tirupati, where I have finished my PhD last month only. Last month, as in I got my PhD degree in September. I have completed my defense, the PhD defense during July. And then I received my degree in November. September. And then last week, I have joined in IIT Tirupati as a postdoctoral researcher. Again, there my core area is civil engineering only, but I'll be focusing also on machine learning, which is my core expertise. Okay, so this is in a nutshell about me. So one last thing before I take your questions, I just wanted to show you one thing. I hope you are able to see this one. This is basically the batch 6 Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. You can see Jenkins sessions went for 9 days, which is for 12 hours approximately. Docker sessions went for 9 days, which is again for 12 hours close. Kubernetes sessions, total 23 sessions we have discussed, and a total of 33 hours, almost close to 33 hours we have discussed. That's the depth of the content which we are going to discuss in Kubernetes. Terraform, 8 days we have went, and that came for 13 days, 13 to 14 days roughly. 13 to 14 hours roughly, not days. And a total of 72 or 73 hours has come. So I have kept it as 70 hours. And the total number of sessions are 49 sessions we have discussed. And one session I have not included because that's a repeat session. So 50 days I have dedicatedly discussed Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes, and Terraform. So by this itself, you might be getting a basic idea that how deep I will go into each one of these tools. Okay, there is no compromise. For every batch, there will be a new topics that will be discussed based upon the advancements that are happening in the DevOps domain. So accordingly, the things will be discussed. Okay, so this is all about this particular session. In the next session, we are going to talk about the basic of Maven, and we will also see some concepts of DevOps, the basics of DevOps. And then from Monday session onwards, we are going to start Jenkins. Yeah. So with this, I would like to close from my end. If you have any questions, you can unmute and you can keep your questions. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I'm open to your questions now. Anyone with any questions?
Yes, one question.
Yeah,
so
please
just
go.
would like to see the payment. When I'm trying to do Google Pay, since it's my first time doing that, it's asking for a bunch of information like your address,
Okay.
and other information. So if you don't
So
mind, please.
may I know, like, are you from India or are you from any other country?
No, I'm not from India, US.
Okay. Okay, fine. I'll do one thing. I'll give you the PayPal details. Maybe you can do the
Yeah,
PayPal.
please.
Yeah. Okay. If you don't mind, can you ping me in the, on the WhatsApp on the same
Definitely.
number?
Okay.
So that I'll
ping-
send you the PayPal information.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
did right now. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. That's any questions for anyone?
Yeah, hi Kastro.
Yeah, hi.
So yeah, I am completely new to the DevOps. Okay,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
am feeling like it will be like more for me. But though having a 10-year of experience into the network security and some of cyber security.
Okay.
But
Okay. Great.
yeah, I know only the basic or the definition of this Kubernetes, Dockers,
Mm-hmm.
and Terraform. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not sure like it will be difficult for me like while I mean during the session. I'm not sure like how it will be.
Yeah. I will let you know one thing. I don't give any false faith that these things will be easy. No, they are not easy in the first place. They are complex and they are difficult to understand in the first case. But that doesn't mean, I mean, every beginner is basically feels like it is a toughest part for me. But once we complete, let's say 5 sessions, 6 sessions, then you will get into the flow. But with the flow, what I would highly recommend for everyone, including you, is practice is essential. Without practice, trust me, I would not recommend you. I would not recommend anyone to join this training program because without practice, nothing will happen. Practice. If I take one session, let's say each session will go for 1.5 hours. Additionally, 1.5 hours more time you have to spend. That means total 3 hours you have to spend to practice a single session. Maybe in the beginning days, you don't need any practice, just the live sessions will be more than sufficient. But once we talk about Docker, Jenkins, Kubernetes, especially the Kubernetes, without practice, no, it's not the right way. But whatever that is required to give in the session itself, I'll try to keep as much thing as possible in the live session into your head. But from your end, also the practice is essential.
Yeah, okay. And I works in UK time zone. Okay.
Okay.
And I will try to like manage 1.5 hours or whatever 2 hours, right? So and if during the like 45 days or 55 days, like in between, if one session unable to join, like how how quickly you will upload the recorded session?
Yeah, I just forgot to mention that the recorded videos and the lecture notes will be shared within 2 hours, maximum within 2 hours of completion of session.
Okay.
Maximum within 2 hours. Mostly within 1 hour only I'll share it, but by any chance, if I get any work, I'll keep 2 hours as a buffer time.
Yeah, thank you. And one more, like apart from this, the 7,000, right? So like you have mentioned like a lot of projects on all the tools, right? So do we need to like pay extra to
No,
get
nothing.
that? Okay.
Nothing.
It will be free
It's
cost.
absolutely free of cost and it is included as part of the training. And if you have, by any chance, if you have known me through the YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel also, there are a couple of projects which I'll be asking, end of the day, I'll be asking you to do those projects also as an assignments. So you can see DevOps real-time projects. There are actually 8 projects that are available. And in the next month, first week, I'll be uploading one more project, which is an e-commerce application. We are also going to do these projects as well, along with the projects which we are going to discuss as part of the training. So you are going to do at least 10 to 15 projects by the end of this. 10 to 15 end-to-end projects.
Okay.
By the end of the training.
Yeah, and do we need like any programming language or scripting language?
Nothing. If anything that is required, I will let you know prior, and I'll give a basic idea about that one. Nothing is required. For time being, nothing is required. I will be letting you know everything, whichever is required for the training.
Okay.
Hey, hi, Kiran.
Yeah, hi.
Just a quick question. Are you covering any Ansible related topics here, like just to compare between the Terraform and Ansible?
See, firstly, this training program is dedicatedly for Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes. And the second thing is, there is no way that we can compare Ansible with Terraform, because Terraform is used to create the infrastructure. Ansible is used to configure the infrastructure. Let's say I want to create 10 servers. So what we can do is we can log into the cloud and we can create the 10 servers. That's one way. That's basically a standard way. If you want to automate the creation of infrastructure, we will use Terraform for that. We will write some scripts, Terraform scripts, and we will automate the infrastructure creation. But now, let's say in all these 10 servers, I want to install Java, I want to install Python, I want to install Jenkins, I want to install Docker, I want to install some Kubernetes things at a time. Then we will use Ansible. So there is no comparison between Terraform and Ansible. Terraform is purely to create the infrastructure. Ansible is used to configure the things in the infrastructure, which is created by using Terraform. But since you have asked about Ansible thing, if you reach to this website called learnwithkastro.com, I have already made the recorded videos of Ansible in the previous batch. That is in the batch 5, I have recorded the things. Let me just show you that. So if you go to, in the courses, go to self-paced learning. In the self-paced learning, there is something which is called as Ansible. So it has 9 hours of content and the fee is 1,500 rupees. So if you want this, I can provide the recorded videos of this one.
Yeah, sure, Kiran. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So that will be charged.
Yeah, this will be additionally charged, and this will be completely recorded session. But any doubts that you may get, that will be discussed. That will be clear.
Okay. And for Jenkins, like, do we need to have a Groovy script language?
Yes, declarative and Groovy. We are going to talk about that.
Okay. That we have to know, or we are going to learn
No
it?
need. I will let you know. Whatever that I have discussed in these modules, no need to have a basic knowledge about these things. That's my duty. I'll take care. But as I said, the prerequisites I have mentioned, a basic knowledge on AWS Cloud and basic knowledge on Linux. That is something which I expect. But even if you don't have also, like here and there, you will get to know. But it's good if you have an idea. But related to these 4 tools, you may be a 0. I will start from 0 only.
All right.
Okay.
And
Go on.
yeah, and the thing is like how many jobs we have right now on this, and so
DevOps domain, DevOps
yeah,
roles.
for DevOps roles, yes.
Yeah.
So can we only take the jobs which is in India, or also we can apply for
anywhere you can take it. That's not a big deal. The only thing is whether you are going as a fresher or an experienced candidate. For freshers, obviously the roles are limited. The opportunities are limited, quite limited. But if you are going as an experienced candidate, for sure there are opportunities. For the best thing, what I can tell you is, if you have LinkedIn account, which I believe you have, in the search bar, just type DevOps engineer, and you will see hundreds of roles or hundreds of openings on the DevOps domain. Otherwise, you can just go to browser and type DevOps engineer roles. You might navigate to Naukri, or you might navigate to any other platforms or job portals. So they will, they'll give you the complete details. The openings are there. There is no doubt about openings. Whether it is in India or in abroad also, openings are there.
All right. No, my question was actually how much time the DevOps will run in the market, because the AI is taking
Yeah.
over, the ML is taking over, then everything.
Yeah, correct. See, I mean, based on my experience, especially with ML part, what I can let you know is I don't see anything that can be replaced in the next 5 to 10 years. Probably there won't be any major advancements that happens in the DevOps domain with respect to the ML advancement or AI advancement. But obviously, we will use AI things. Let's say ChatGPT is there. It's not basically an AI, it's an LLM. That's called as large language model. We typically call it as AI. But if you ask any ML engineer, they'll call it as LLMs, large language model. So as part of this training, I'll also let you know how to use ChatGPT, how to generate the projects using ChatGPT, how to create the scripts using ChatGPT. That will also be covered. But for the next 5 to 10 years, I won't see any AI or any ML that will overcome the DevOps or that will overcome the DevOps roles. I don't see it as of now, but again, we cannot predict what future holds for us. But still, my confidence is at least for the next 5 to 10 years, I don't see anything can come and completely overshadow the DevOps roles. Maybe we will use the AML things in the DevOps roles, but they don't overshadow.
Yeah, got it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Kiran, one question.
Yeah, go on.
So for the experience, right? Because as you said, freshers are going to be really having limited opportunity.
Correct.
So with the knowledge that you will be providing, how can I adjust? Because I'm coming from an IT domain, but not from DevOps.
Okay.
So how can I adjust my experience level? Is there any guidance on that towards the end? Or?
Yeah, that will be given. But since this will be on YouTube publicly, so I would say if you can ping me on LinkedIn or if you can ping me on WhatsApp, I will let you know what could be done for your scenario.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hi Kiran.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, Kiran, while running the class, can we make our own notes or it's notes which you provided is enough?
Whatever notes that I am going to write, that will be a kind of a rough notes, but concept-wise, everything will be discussed. But if you feel like, okay, I need to make my own notes, I would say that if that is fine, then you can make it. Otherwise, whatever notes that I provide, that would be more than sufficient, which is what I believe. But maybe if you are someone who wants to make your own notes, because there will be some people who will make their own notes and then they'll start learning from their notes, which they might be habituated to. But if you are someone who comes under that category, yeah, maybe you can make the notes. But while the session is going on, no need to make any notes. Whatever notes that I write, that would be more than sufficient and that will be shared also.
Yeah, okay. And this course is suitable for the SRE roles also?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We are going to cover Prometheus, Grafana, OpenSearch, EFK, these things. So SRE roles are basically the monitoring roles on a large scale. Along with along with monitoring part, you need to know how to create the infrastructure or how to create the pipelines, how to deploy the applications in the EKS cluster. Those things will be as part of this one.
Yeah, okay.
Any other questions for anyone? Just give me a second. I'll take, if there are any questions in the chat box, I'll take those questions. Yeah, Suresh, you can go with your question if you have, because you raised your hand. Yeah, Suresh.
Hi.
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah.
Hi.
So do you have any batches for US?
US timings?
Yeah.
Actually, I am running one batch, but that is not my own personal batch. That is for an institute. But as of now, I don't have any batches for US timings, which suits US timings.
Okay, because I may be limited to these sessions because I need to start my work at 9 o'clock.
Okay. But however, the recorded videos will be provided. And also, if you get any doubts, you are free to call me or free to text me at any given point of time or whenever you are practicing. I'll be available to help you out if you get any doubts.
Because 5 p.m. will be ideal for me.
Okay.
So that's what I can start my work. That's what I was
okay.
doing to that batch.
Oh, okay.
And also, do you cover any multi-cloud for Terraform?
Terraform with multi-cloud, no, only AWS will be covered. But if you need any basic idea, I'll provide the basic idea. Probably on 1 or 2 days, I'll take the session and I'll provide.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Suresh, the timings. Yeah, again, you only have asked the timings.
Yeah, that's me. That's
Okay.
because I was
Okay.
constrained on the timings because
Okay.
5 p.m. was ideal for me.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
what
Shall we pay through credit card? Yes, you can pay, Gautam. No issues about that. But before paying, you please let me know. Contact me on the WhatsApp so that I can let you know the details. Yeah, those were the couple of questions. Any other questions for anyone?
Yeah, Kiran, by the mostly end of the Jan course will be completed, right?
November, December. Yeah, mostly by Jan. Yeah, Jan first week, not end of the Jan also. Probably before 15th of January, we'll finish the course.
Yeah.
If I take any Saturdays and Sundays also, maybe you can expect within first week of Jan itself.
Okay.
Is it okay if we pay tomorrow?
Yeah, you can pay it. Whenever you want, you can pay. Like before coming to the next session, that is on Monday's session, you can pay at any given point of time. And once you pay, please let me know in advance by sending your screenshot and the WhatsApp number and email ID so that I can add you in the dedicated WhatsApp group.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kiran, so one question.
Yeah, go on.
Can you recommend, please, when can we go in the market to apply for jobs? Meanwhile, we're trying to wrap up because January is going to be a hiring season, right? Right now, it's slowing down.
Yeah.
So just, I was thinking
Yeah.
maybe most likely the batch will be ending up in December, like mid of December.
Mostly it will be done by December last week itself. But if there are any things that comes to a next level, like let's say projects and all, maybe by January first week. That's the maximum extension that I'll keep. But since you are telling some constraints are there or some hirings will happen, it's the beginning of the year. Probably I'll take some Saturdays and Sundays, and then I'll try to wrap up on or before December last week itself.
Okay. And when do you recommend to start going in the market? Like mid of your batch or?
I will let you know when to prepare the resumes. I'll let you know because once after Kubernetes is started, you can start preparing the resumes and you can start applying for the jobs. By the time you start receiving the calls, Kubernetes will be done. So obviously you'll be prepared with Jenkins, Docker, and Kubernetes. Terraform, obviously, it's not a big deal. It's basics. If you have an idea, also Terraform can be cracked. That's not a big problem. Or let's say if you have an interview tomorrow or in the next week, let's say, if you let me know what is the job description of your role, accordingly, I will let you know which topics should be prepared. Let's say if Terraform is not covered by then, which topics can be prepared in that particular tool or which questions can be expected from that particular tool. I can give that set of questions. Maybe if you can figure it out, the answers for those set of questions, that will be sufficient.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Kiran, additional tools are mentioned. Are you covered these tools or are you guided
Yes.
tools? Additional.
These ones, right?
Okay.
Yeah, these things will be covered. Tomorrow we are going to talk about Maven and Tomcat one.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions for anyone?
Hi, Kiran.
Yeah, hi, please.
So Kiran, since I don't have any knowledge on YAML, so how it will be done? And how will
no need to bother. I am there for you to talk everything from scratch.
All right.
Yeah.
So there will be dedicated sessions for YAML, right?
Yes. First YAML that's what I have written. No, YAML introduction to YAML, something like that. I have written somewhere. Yeah, this. We'll talk about how to write the YAML scripts, what is the syntax that you have to follow. Those things will be discussed. And then after that only, we are going to create the resources.
Sure, thanks.
And Uma, someone asked, like Uma, that's the name. So any insights about GitHub Actions? Yes, actually, I'm planning to start one more batch on GitHub Actions. Probably that batch I'm planning to start in the November last week or in the December first week. So I'll let you know. Probably before I complete your batch, I'll start the GitHub Actions batch, which will be for 2 weeks. Mostly 2 weeks is more than sufficient. 2 weeks, that is solid 14 to 15 days is more than sufficient for GitHub Actions. Yeah, that will be started. That is there on cards, and that will be started for sure in this year only. There is no doubt about that. I'll let you know when that batch will start.
And Kiran, this Jenkins Docker this session, right? You follow the same timing, right? The IST 5
Yes,
to
yes,
6:30.
yes. Either
Okay.
5 to 6:30 or 5:30 to 7.
Okay. And there is no sessions like
No.
going forward on the morning time.
No.
Okay.
Because morning I have a batch 7:30 to 9:30, and then 10 o'clock I have to go to my university. 10 to 4 I'll be the 4:30 I'll be there in the university, and then 5 o'clock. If I come by 5 o'clock, I'll take the session at 5 o'clock. Otherwise 5:30 max.
No, like not on the 7 batch, like upcoming like 7 8 batch and all, right? So if morning means like
No,
I'm willing to like go for morning.
Mostly this will be the standard timing for this batch, because morning and evening batches are completely dedicated for other two training institutes, because I have a deal with them that I had to take the batches at their specific time. So that's the timings which are already occupied in my time slot. And the only time slot which I am free is 5 to 7 o'clock or 5 to 7:30. So in the evening. So that's why I'm keeping my personal batch in this time.
Okay.
Kiran, last question from my
go
end. So for the recorded videos, are we going to have a specific username, login, password for us to go and see the recorded ones? Or?
Your email ID and password would be more than sufficient.
Okay.
Right. So if you don't have any questions, I believe we can close the session. Thank you all. Thanks for joining. Tomorrow also you can join with the same link. And tomorrow we are going to talk about Maven, and then we'll talk about what is Tomcat. And then we are going to deploy a small scale application on Tomcat web server in a manual approach. That's basically called as manual deployment of application. We'll be doing a small scale project tomorrow in tomorrow's session.
Sure, Kiran. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you,
See
Kiran.
you. Thank
Bye.
you all. See you. Bye.
Thank you, Kiran.
Yeah, thank you.